Good afternoon, Year 3, and welcome to today's geography lesson. We are doing geography this term instead of history, and we are going to be looking at countries and capital cities in Europe. So I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see what we are doing. Okay. First of all, we have a quick recap quiz to see what you remember from last year. Don't worry if you weren't in the school last year, just see what you do know from this. My first question is, can you name the 4 main points of a compass? Can you name the 4 main points of a compass? Is it A, never eat shredded wheat, B, right, left, up, down, or C, north, south, east, and west? Pause the video now so that you can work that out. Okay, let's see if you were correct. The correct answer was north, south, east, and west. Never eat shredded wheat is a way of remembering what order it goes in. It's a way of remembering never for north, eat for east, shredded wheat. Shredded is south wheat. So north, never eat shredded wheat. Or you can say north, south, east, and west. Those are actually the official names of the compass. Moving on, question number 2. Name a cold area in the world. Name a cold area in the world. Is it A, the Sahara, B, the Arctic, or C, the tropics? Name a cold area in the world. Pause the video now so that you can answer this question. Okay, hopefully by now you have answered it. The correct answer was B. The Arctic is a very cold area in the world. The Sahara and the tropics are both very hot. The tropics is humid and the Sahara is a dry heat, but the Sahara is also a desert, so that is a clue. So yes, the answer was the Arctic. Very, very cold, filled with lots of snow and ice. Question number 3. Which of the following is not a continent? Which of the following is not a continent? Is it A, North America, B, India, or C, Europe? Which of the following is not a continent? Pause the video so that you can work out this answer. Okay, let's see if you were correct. The following is not a continent. India. The reason why India is not a continent is because a continent is a collection of countries. It's lots of countries that are in close proximity together that form one continent. India is a country, not a continent. Question number 4. Which of these symbols below is the symbol for a toilet? Is it A, this symbol with an I, B, a symbol with a man and a woman, or C, this symbol of a building with an M on the front? Pause the video so that you can work the answer out for this question. Okay, hopefully you've done that by now. I can tell you the correct answer was B. This is the symbol for a toilet. A, this I is a symbol for, it's an information symbol. So if you require more information about something, you might see that symbol, or if there's somebody there to help you, they might have an I, which says that you can go to that place, that building for information. If you ever see this symbol on a map with M, that is a museum, okay? Museums look like this. The symbol for a museum on a map would look like this. And my last question for the recap quiz, which of the following symbols below is for parking? Which of the symbols below is for parking? Is it A, this symbol of a train, B, this symbol of a phone, or C, this symbol with the letter P? Pause the video and work out your final question, please. Okay, Quizlets, let's see which of you got that answer correct. The correct answer, which is the following symbol for parking, was C. And you can tell it's for parking because it has a P. That capital P is for parking. This is a symbol for a train or train station. This is a symbol that represents there being a telephone box, and P is for parking. Okay, so I'm just going to go over our key vocabulary and then I'm going to introduce today's learning. So Europe. Europe is a continent. We all live in, there are 7 different continents and we live in the continent Europe. Okay, so Europe is the continent that we live in. Continent. Continent. As I said before, a continent is a collection of different countries. Okay, so Europe has lots of different countries. They are very close to one another and they form one continent. The continent that we live in is Europe. Now, if you were to inspect this map closely, or an atlas or a globe, you can see that each of these regions that are separated by lines are countries. Say country, country. Now, the country that we live in is England. England is the country that we live in, and you'd be able to identify it on a map. It would actually be somewhere around here. So maps come in many different shapes and forms. You can have a 2D map, and this is a 2D map. You can also have 3D maps, which are globes, and they are shaped just like the Earth is and allows you to see different countries, continents, and oceans. Globe. Globe. If you were to look at a map or a globe, you'd see a continent. If you look more closely, you can see different countries. If you were to zoom in even further, you would see cities. Now, each country has a capital city. That is the main city. Usually it's the biggest city, but sometimes it's not. It's the main city where the government is. Capital city is the next word, so repeat these after me. Capital city. And you can find many different types of maps in an atlas. Now, usually we would be using this in class. If you have one at home, great. You can get your atlas or globe or map ready. If you don't worry at all, because I've included some links to the page that we're going to be using on the atlas. And I've included a link to Google Earth, which is a virtual globe. You can go online and explore different continents and countries using Google Earth. Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to name and locate the countries and capital cities in Europe using maps and globes. Here I have a globe, here I've got a map of Europe, and here again is a map of Europe, but without the names on them. By the end of this lesson, we will know that capital cities are cities where the main government is, and we should be able to locate major countries and capital cities in the continent Europe. And remember, Europe is the continent that we are living in. So, if a continent is a collection of lots of different countries, so this would be a continent, this whole thing is the continent of Europe. What is a country? What is a country? I would like you to pause this video now so you can have a think about what a country actually is. Pause the video now to have a think and come up with an answer. Okay, hopefully you've had a think about that question about what a country is. You can identify the country that we live in. A country is a region of land. So it's an area of land where people live. We live in the country England, and England would be here in the United Kingdom. So England would be here. We live in the country England, and England is in the continent of Europe. So just to put my continent line again there. We live in the country Europe. We live in the country England, and England is in the continent of Europe. Over here, you can see the United Kingdom, and England would be here. London would be somewhere around here. I'll do a red dot for that. And then Europe is the whole continent. I would like you to think, can you think of any other countries that are in Europe? You can use this map to help you if you have a globe or at home, or if you want to look on Google Earth, you can also use that too. What other countries are in Europe? Pause the video so that you can have a think, or so that you can explore. Okay, there are lots of different countries in Europe. We have countries that part of Russia is in Europe. We have Finland, Poland, Romania, Greece, Spain, Portugal, lots and lots of different countries in Europe. And there are lots of different languages that are spoken in the countries in Europe. So, what countries, here we're going to explore some countries in Europe in more detail. We live in the United Kingdom, and as I said, in the United Kingdom, it's made up of Wales, which would be somewhere around here. It's made up of England, which I'd say goes to roughly about there. You can look properly on a map. And it's also made up of Scotland and Northern Ireland. So that makes up the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is an island because it's surrounded by lots of water. All this area here that has not got any colours on it, that is water. Okay, that is actually here's the Norwegian Sea and here's the North Sea. It's made up of lots of different seas and oceans. So the United Kingdom is an island because it's surrounded by lots of water. Over here, we have Italy, and it's easy to remember and identify what Italy looks like on a map because it looks like a boot. If you turn your head and tilt your head and you turn it sideways, you can see this looks like the heel, the toe part of the boot, and this looks like the heel. Have you been to any countries in Europe? I would like to have a think. Have you been to any countries in Europe? And if you haven't, what countries in Europe can you spot by looking at this map? What countries in Europe can you spot? Okay. What I'm going to do now, I have a video, so I'm just going to reshare my screen so that we can play that video for you. So let me just re-share my screen so that you can all see this video. Let's start from the beginning.
Oh, hello. I'm just working out where I am by using this world, a globe, to give it its proper name. A globe is a model of planet Earth showing how it looks from space. This one shows all the countries of the world, almost 200, including the UK. It shows all 7 continents: Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Asia, Oceania, and Antarctica. Although I love my globe, it's a bit awkward to carry around. Instead, it's much easier to use a map or a book.
Sorry, just to stop you there. Some people say Oceania, some people say Australasia as one of the continents. So I'm just going to replay this bit here so you can continue watching it.
Instead, it's much easier to use a map or a book of maps called an atlas. An atlas has pictures of the same places as the globe, but they are spread out over the pages, which allows you to see the world in more detail. This does have its drawbacks, as the Earth is round, but pages are flat. So what we see on a map is slightly distorted. Globes and maps are how we've seen the world for hundreds of years. They used to be hand-drawn to scale from careful measurements of the distances and angles between landmarks. But these days, you can use apps on your computer or tablet. They're even more detailed because they use photos taken by satellites and drones. The photos are put together like a huge jigsaw puzzle, which means we can view whole continents or even people's back gardens. However you look at the world, whether it's with a globe, atlas, or a computer, it will always be fascinating and beautiful. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Fantastic. Okay. Pause that there. Going to. So let's go back to our slides. So hopefully you learned a little bit about what maps, atlases, and globes are. So as I said, on maps and atlases, if I just show you a map that I have, in fact, I'll go through this first, then I'll show you. So as we said, there are countries in Europe, and if you were to zoom in even closer, so if I was to zoom in even closer, I would be able to see the capital cities. In the United Kingdom, we have capital cities. Remember, capital cities are often the largest cities in a country, or they could be the city where their main government is. So for example, in Scotland, the capital city is Edinburgh. In Northern Ireland, the capital city is Belfast. In Wales, the capital city is Cardiff. And in England, you all live in a capital city, which is, hopefully you guessed it, London. London is the capital city of England, and it's where we all live. It's also where our main government is. And our main government is the Houses of Parliament. So it's got the Houses of Lords, the House of Lords, and the House of Commons, and it's led by our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. The government are a group of people who rule and run the country. Okay, so before you go on to your independent task, I just want to show you in more detail a globe and a page from the atlas. So I'm just going to show you in more detail how to actually use an atlas and a globe before you go into your task. So let me stop sharing so you can see here. If I wanted to find a country, and I'm going to start off using my globe and then I'll show you using my atlas. If I wanted to start off and find a country, I would first look at the continent. So I'm going to hold my globe from further away, and you can see it says the names of continents. So over here, you can see it says, I'm going to use my pen. Over here, it says Africa. I know it's flipped around, so it might be hard for you to read, but it does actually have the names of continents on there. If we look at this continent here, you can see it says Asia. And that's first what I would look for. First, I would look for the continent. Today, we're going to be focusing on the continent Europe. So I need to look for Europe on my globe. And I can see that Europe is over here. Then I'm going to be identifying countries. So if I look closer and I found my continent Europe, I can find actual countries. So if I wanted to find Norway, I can see that Norway is all the way at the top over here. Okay, so globes are quite useful for helping you to find countries and continents. If I wanted to look even closer and identify capital cities, it's probably better for me to use an atlas. And here I've photocopied a page from an atlas, which helps me identify capital cities and countries. So I'm going to share this with you now. So let me just, flip my camera. There we go. So over here, let me just focus it. Fantastic. You can see a page from my atlas. Just going to focus that. That's much better. And on my atlas, I know it's a bit back, it's flipped backwards for you, but you can see I have countries. All of these red dots that you can see, so if I look at a country, let's say France, if I look at the red dot, it tells me the capital city of them. So if I was to look at Russia, for example, I can see that the capital city is Moscow. If I look at Ukraine, which is over here, this pink region here, that's the country Ukraine, I can see that the capital city is Kiev. So you're going to be using a page from the atlas similar to this to help you identify countries and capital cities. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to model the independent task for you so that you know what to do. You have to identify the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to identify 6 countries and their capital cities. If you have this task sheet, you can print it out. If you do not, please don't worry. I just want you to copy out the table, which will be back on the PowerPoint, and you can copy it out there. So the first thing you need to do is identify the country you're looking for. So I'm not going to do any of the ones that you are. Let's pretend that I was looking for Poland. Okay, so first thing I need to do is identify Poland on my atlas. So again, I know it's really tricky for you to see because it is flipped backwards. I do apologize. I can see Poland is here. So let's say Poland, Poland is going to be green. So I'm just going to colour in Poland green, and I've got to identify Poland on this map here using this. So I can see Poland is next to, it's quite a big country. It's next to Germany, and I can see that there's this smaller country, Denmark, up here. So if I can try and find this smaller country, which looks as if it's that one there, then this must be Germany, and next to it must be Poland. Okay, so I'm just going to write down Poland, and I'm going to do that because I've said Poland is going to be green. I'm going to colour Poland in green here. I'm just going to colour it roughly. Okay, and then on my task sheet, I can write down Poland. Then I need to identify the capital city. So again, I need to look closely at my map, and I can look for the red dot, and under the red dot will tell me, the red dot marks the capital cities, what the capital city is. And the capital city of Poland is Warsaw. So I'm going to go back to my task sheet, and if not, then I'm just going to write down the table, and don't worry about colouring it in on a map. And I'm just going to write down Warsaw. Okay. So let me just go back to our slides. So your independent task is to do exactly what I've done. If you're not able to print off this sheet, don't worry. Don't worry about colouring in the map. Just focus on identifying these countries and finding out what their capital cities are. And you can just do a table with a country and capital city. So for your task today, I would like you to identify these 6 countries and the United Kingdom, which isn't a country, it's a collection of countries. It's a state. I would like you to identify where these countries are on the map by colouring them in, and you are going to use different colours for each of them. Then you can write down the country and write down its capital city. Okay, so you can use, if you want to pause the video here, you can actually use this to help you. If you want to print this off, I have put a link in the video for you to print it off. If you would like to challenge yourself, you can use Google Earth. I'm going to share my screen now so that you are able to do that. Let me show you how to use Google Earth. So if you want to use Google Earth, I've put a link in for Google Earth and it will take you to Europe. So I'm going to show you now how to do that. Let's get out of this video. Okay, so you need to follow the link and you need to click on the country that we are looking at. I said I've modelled it doing, what was my country? Poland, so I'm going to click on Poland. So I'm going to click on Poland. And when I click on Poland, and I go a bit closer, if I double click on Poland, it will tell me a little bit more about the country. And it says Poland. Poland, it gives you a brief sentence about it. Poland is officially a Republic of Poland. And it tells you here the capital. Okay, so if you wanted to challenge yourself, you could also use the interactive globe on Google Maps to help you locate the countries and their capital cities. Okay, you don't have to use that. Or if you want to identify more countries, you can use Google Earth to help you do so. So, hopefully I've explained the independent task for you. Make sure you upload your work onto Seesaw after so that your teachers are able to see what you have done. Okay, well done. See you in the next lesson. Bye.